Hi there, this is Trisha in her 60s. Thank you for joining me again. I appreciate it. I just thought since this is the beginning, I would go ahead and give you a little bit of background. I'm, by the way, I'm playing with my dog. His name is Trevor, and he is giving me kisses. So if you hear sloppy sounds, that's him. Anyway. Just to give you a very, very quick beginning of what led me to doing this whole podcast thing and my life so far is, well, let's start at the beginning. All right, I was born in Atlanta, lived there, grew up in suburbs of Atlanta, moved to Nashville when I was 23, and I have been here ever since. I actually came with a second husband, and again, we'll get into that in due time. I came here with my husband at the time for his job, and just ended up staying. At first, I hated it because it was the 80s, it was the late 80s, and Nashville was very, very, very backwards compared to Atlanta, or at least that's what I thought, or that's how it felt. But over the years and over the decades at this point, it grew on me. Now, would I stay here if I had no ties, no anything? No, I would not. This is a very, very, very red state, and I am not a red person. I am a blue dot in a red sea. Basically, actually, Nashville proper. Well, actually, just this, Nashville proper, I guess is the best way to put it. Nashville proper, Memphis, and Chattanooga, to some degree, are your blue dots in the Red Sea of Tennessee. Unfortunately, we also claim infamy. I was going to say claim fame too, but I'm going to say claim infamy to Marsha Blackburn, who is one of the senators. So yes, and she's very, very, very much a MAGA in the worst possible way. But that's what we have right now. So anyway, getting back to it, I have been in computers my entire life. Started in high school with learning COBOL. Well, first I learned BASIC. This was in the late 70s, early 80s, and the only computer we had was this. It looked like a printer. Now it looks like just a dot matrix printer, but it was a computer. And it plugged into the television that was on the cart that belonged to the library that you watched movies on in school. You know that cart if you are my age or anywhere around an elder Gen X. You know that cart. So I started doing BASIC in high school, and then in my last year of high school, I had gotten a scholarship to our local tech school. And I decided to start taking COBOL courses at night in my last, I was a senior, so I would be in a good starting space or starting place when I started actual college. And when I did it in night school, I actually programmed using punch cards. Now, I know boomers know what punch cards are, and some Gen Xers know what it is too. But after that, no, I'll have to find some cards to see if anyone still has any. I know I don't have any more. But so I graduated with an associate's at 19 and thought that everything was going to be just hunky-dory because I was in computers, and that was the wave of the future, especially according to my father, who was very, very instrumental in getting me to go into the computer field. At the time, it was called data processing, but and that was because, again, we're talking late 70s, early 80s, when just the computers were starting to come in the house, but they were like the TRS-80 computer. They weren't even that. They were the one that was with the cassette deck. The cassette deck, imagine this, was your memory for your for your memory of for your storage. Actually, it was your storage. And I was like, wow. But yes, that's what got me started. And unfortunately, in Atlanta at the time, in the early 80s, they were flooded with people who had taken, college classes or graduated in some form of computer science or data processing. And even though my curriculum was all tech-based, I had 4 quarters of COBOL, 4 quarters of accounting, because the whole idea was that you were going to probably be programming business records and business, business reports and stuff like that. So the more you knew about what they were talking about, which was probably some form of accounting, because obviously, the people running the budgets and the money and everything, they would have a great need for computers and computer reporting. So even though I had a very good background, unfortunately, there were so many people in Atlanta to even be a computer operator. Even to be an operator, they were looking for a bachelor degree. So that took a bit of doing. I did get a job out of college that was in computer operations, and that was wonderful. And I kept it until I got a job in programming, and it was more what we call computer-based training, CBT. And of course, it was some weird language that was new, but I learned it. It was no problem. I couldn't even tell you what it was, to tell you the truth, because it's not anything you've heard of. But it was great. I was making a great salary. I was thrilled to death. I had just married my second husband, and we were planning on mostly living on my money, because, and this is a very, very long story that I'm not going to get into right now, but most of his money, and he was a computer programmer, actually, as well. He was a COBOL programmer. I met him through work, which is kind of like the story of my life. Anyway, most of his money was going to child support, and so we were going to plan on living on my money. All right, that's fine, because I was actually going to be making a salary as almost as good as his. Well, that company only lasted like 3 months, or maybe longer than that, 6 months, maybe. I don't even remember. It was, again, this was, almost 40 years ago. It was 40 years ago. So I don't remember how many months it was, but I know it was only a number of months. It was not years. That, they just closed. They closed everything and said, well, you don't work here anymore. And because I was young and, again, still only had the associates, it was very, very hard for me to get any type of a position back in Atlanta. This was at the time also, at one point, because we needed my salary, I was like, I don't care. I'll go to the mall. I'll go do anything as long as I just get if I can get a paycheck and just keep going. Well, I tried getting jobs, in the mall. You remember Spencer's? I think I worked at Spencer's Gifts for like a couple months, I think. I'm trying to remember again. That was so long ago. But I was finding it hard to get another position. And when I tried to get something like at the mall, they said, well, you've made too much. You're going to leave in 2 weeks. And I said, no, I've been looking for a long time. I've been looking for months, and I need a position. And that I couldn't get. And again, the whole not having a bachelor degree really seemed to have an issue. And I was having a lot of problems getting back into the workforce. And we're talking, I was only, 22 or so. Yeah, 21 and 22. So yes, very, very young. And my husband at the time ended up looking for jobs that were going to make more money. And he got a position, or he got an offer to come to Nashville. And that is how we ended up in Nashville. Let's see, Memorial Day weekend, 1987 was when I moved to Nashville. And so that's probably a good place to stop at this point. I really appreciate you listening to the podcast. And please subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, and you'll be notified when the next time I put out a podcast, which will probably be sooner than weekly. So I will tell you that. I really appreciate everyone's support, and I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.